is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
Excuse me as I rock on. That's Went Away by Dorothy Lane. Dorothy Lane out of Martinez, California. That's out of the Cut and Dry album. Check them out at dorothylanemusic.com. Yeah. Hey everybody, it's Ruel Abadam. Welcome to Ruel's Running Podcast. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's eating well. And, all that good stuff. Hope everybody's families are doing well. I'm on the go, as usual. Pardon the road noise. Now, to start out, let's talk about what's cooking. If, here in Ruel's Running Podcast, I don't know why I say we, because it's technically just me, so it's not really we. So, I like to use the podcast to talk about things NSNG and things, and sometimes to talk about things that are NSNG, we have to talk about things that are not NSNG so we can get a greater picture of what that's like. And lately, I've been doing a lot of baking. I've come to realize that I've become a part-time baker. What do you think of that? And what I bake definitely is not NSNG. And what does that mean? Well, first, let's define NSNG if you're new to the podcast. NSNG means no sugar, no grains, as prescribed by Vinnie Tortorich. And Vinnie Tortorich is a friend. He is a man of many things. I'll put it that way. And if you don't know who he is, he's the author of the successful book Fitness Confidential. He also is the host of Fitness Confidential podcast, formerly known as the Celebrity Fitness Trainer podcast, formerly known as the Angriest Trainer, America's Angriest Trainer podcast. He's also responsible for PureVitaminClub.com, PureCoffeeClub.com, and right now, you can go on YouTube. If you search for Fat, a documentary, you'll find the official trailer for a film that he is working on that will release next year in 2019. So that's my long-winded way of defining NSNG. No sugar, no grains, as prescribed by Vinnie Tortorich, so that you can gain your health back, so you can cut a few pounds or cut a lot of pounds, depending on what your needs are. And if you go to, without me having to sort of do an NSNG 101, go to VinnieTortorich.com, and there are links, or there is a banner for the intro to NSNG. From there, you do a quick and easy sort of sign up, and it doesn't cost you anything. And once you get in, you can actually go through some information online to help you learn and understand what it is to be NSNG. At the same time, you can download a PDF. Again, it's free. Download a PDF, and it's all there on a PDF. The information there and on the PDF can also link you to specific podcast episodes from his podcast with doctors and experts, in the field of nutrition and health. So, check that out. Now, we're going to step back. Here we are at Ruel's Running Podcast, and we're talking about food. And I've just informed you folks that I have become a part-time baker. And what does that mean? Well, my wife has an online bake shop, right? I may have talked about this in an old episode, but for years she has baked tons of stuff for schools, for the teachers, for anybody who is sort of a child care provider for our kids, as a way to sort of commemorate, celebrate, and give appreciation and gifts to these important people in our families' lives. Teachers, principals, daycare, childcare folks, and then as well as along the way of creating these treats, because that's exactly what they are. They're not like your daily diet. They're treats. Along the way, we're also packaging things that we can also share in the office for special times of the year. And so for years my wife has done that, and so this bake shop has become a way for her to answer the question when she is asked, can I buy these online? Or can I buy these from you? Because they've been gifts for a long time. But since there has been a growing demand and interest over the years, it was high time that my wife and I sort of put something out there so that people can have a place to go to find these things. And having a certain level of expertise, which I make available on abadamstudios.com, I'm able to take, what graphic design, web design, podcast and social media sort of experience I have, and help her build this thing, which is called The Chocolate Dozen. So if you go to thechocolatedozen.com, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And there are things in this bake shop that I help with. So that is why I've described myself as a part-time baker. And that's what's been cooking. I know in past episodes when I talk about what's cooking, I'm talking about NSNG related things that's been cooking. And I still do those things, and I've talked about those in other episodes. Things like making a yummy tri-tip steak, sirloin steak on a cast iron pan. That's always going on. That's fantastic. And I'd love to go through the detail of what it takes to make that awesome dish. But I've already done it. Other things are, the paleo mushroom soup. Right? I've done that. I've talked about that ad nauseum, I believe, on the What's Cooking segment in the podcast. And I've also overly talked about the fact that, I use bone broth that I make in the Instant Pot regularly to make that soup. So nothing else new. The only thing that's new is, like, right now, if you were to walk into our kitchen, it smells like what you can imagine if Santa had a bake shop, that's what that is. You're going to smell what you can imagine Santa's bake shop to smell like. So it's that time of year. There's certain smells and sights, Christmas trees lit in the background, there's tons of presents under the tree, and so that's my thing on what's cooking. Now, if we talk about running, we are 17 days away from Christmas, and it's exciting. There's an air of or buzz of the holidays, right? What does that mean? What are you talking about, Ruel? Well, to me, what it means is the office is slowly going to get bare because people are going to go on vacation for the holidays. It also means there's going to be gatherings and get-togethers and celebrations, either in the office or at homes or other people's homes. So you're going to get to meet people you haven't seen since maybe a year ago, since the last holiday get-together. And there's going to be a lot of, deliciousness to be had, and a lot of things to be drank. Hot chocolate, that's what I'm talking about, yeah. Those treats, right? Or eggnog, right? I'm not a fan of hot chocolate. I'm not a fan of eggnog. My favorite holiday beverage is coffee. Coffee with a splash of heavy cream. Depending on my mood, I'm going to put a tablespoon or teaspoon of coconut oil in there. Yum. Seems like every day now. But good times. And it's that time of the year, and I'm pretty much done with any sort of significant amount of running. I thought that I might be able to get a long run, like maybe a 10-12 hour run, just solo mission. But I haven't really put much thought into that. And today is actually the day for the Hunter S. Thompson Fear and Loathing 50K and 50 miler in San Francisco that I signed up for, but I also had to unsign up for because commitments, responsibilities, and other activities that which just wouldn't work out schedule-wise. So I was disappointed, for a time that I wasn't going to get to do that. But I'm over that. And I had also signed up for a 50 miler. I forgot what month it was. It was in October, I believe, and I couldn't do that. So the fourth quarter of the year, I'm pretty much done. I'm not going to worry about it. So if I can run in the middle of the day during the work day, that'll be the amount of running that I get to do. And if not, that's okay. I'll look forward to 2019 and start thinking about what I want to do. Good times. Fitness, exercise, not a whole lot going on. And as far as nutrition, I need to tighten things up because I could stand to lose, 10 pounds now, right? I need to get a handle on things. I'm physically not at my best, and so I've been here before. It's sort of like I don't know how you guys are, but it feels like the rest of the things in the natural world, things happen in seasons, and so does my body, right? In addition to the fact that everything ages, my body goes through seasons of super fit, and then there goes through a period of, less fit, right? I'm still fit enough to run, I can still go out there and run, but run my best? No, all right? Run without much difficulty? No. I need to actually put in work to actually get there. And when I do that, that's typically aligned with the fact that, I've locked down on nutrition, I've locked down on some sort of a regimen of exercise. And, but yeah, nowhere there for a while. And there's still a lot more holidays to be had and trips to be done. So, I have to be more intentful with with what I put in my mouth. I know the last episode titled that I'm not going to care about what I put down my throat, but I really do, right? Because as much as annoying as this bit of weight is, it's not as annoying as other things that can creep up, eczema or migraines or arthritis, right? Or who knows what. And so, I know it's the holidays and we want to be able to enjoy, and I'm definitely going to enjoy, but I'm also not going to put my mental torture, if in other words. I'm not going to subject myself to mental torture. That's not to say that I'm just going to go, freewheeling and just not care about what's there, but I'll pick and choose, and I can be happy balancing things out, and then get to a point after the holidays where I'm going to lock down, and it's all going to change. There's going to be less vacation, less celebrations. The weather's going to shift from being super cold, wherever super cold means to you, to the springtime is going to roll around and things are going to be a bit warmer, and then it's going to be summer's going to kick in. It's going to be super hot. But that's the period where I know it's all going to kind of tighten up and be better. So the goal is to just not get worse than it already is. So yeah, that's my bit on exercise and fitness. Family-wise, the family's doing great. The kids are getting older. Everyone is their own deal. I'm actually, it's the weekend, and rather than me spending a whole day running in San Francisco for that event, I'm helping things out at home with the bake shop, and the kids are going to swim class, and we've got other sort of appointments on the calendar that are all geared around family, holiday, festivities, activities, and things like that. So that's what it is, And could I have brushed those things off? Yeah, I could have to be able to spend a selfish day running in San Francisco. I could have, had it been planned a certain way. But I will miss time with the family that I won't be able to get back if that were to happen. Even if I managed to do that, reschedule things last minute and do this run, guess what? There was just so much other things going on leading up to today that I've not been able to get any good level of training. So I would be going in cold. I would be going in sort of like untrained and miserable. Actually, more miserable than usual. And that's still good in its own way if you run and not care about performance, but it does feel great when you know that you've optimized yourself and your fitness, and you've put it out there, and you can feel the effects of your hard work, and I want that. So yep. Now I have a few minutes, and I just want to talk about real quick. This podcast has been all over the map, has been all over the place, and I think if you hear back from the very first episode, I started out with this as an experiment, and it's evolved into something that it's still a testing ground for things that I wanted to try on podcasts, and it's also become a therapy, right? It's a way for me to put something out there and put my thoughts out. Now, I'm not saying make them organized, but for me to talk kind of unscripted about anything, it helps me put my thoughts into a certain frame that I can digest and reflect on, and it means something. I don't know if it's similar to any sort of therapy, because as you talk, say, to a therapist, you are having to put your thoughts out, and for them to listen, and then for them to sort of do that whole exchange of, right? And then, so what that is for me is I do a recording, and then I edit it, and I get to hear it all over again, and I get to digest it, and then I publish it, and then I can, for quality purposes, to see how it ended up being as the final product. So I'm listening to it again. And then time passes, and months and years, and then every now and then I'll dive into the archives and I'll listen to what had been said on a given episode, and I'm like, I'm listening to I've basically journaled a fragment of my life, my experiences, and I get to hear and remember what it was all about. And there's something special about that does provide some value to me. And I don't know what it is like for listeners of this podcast, but I know that when I dive into the archives of other podcasts that I subscribe to, there is a value to be able to hear things again. And it's funny how fast time flies. And I swear there are things that I thought that I listened to last month that ended up being like a year or so ago. Because there are snippets that were said in that recording that stuck to my head and I carry with me. So I only hope that there's some level of value that this silly show provides, and that it affects people in a similar way. Nowhere do I declare this to be an expert show, a how-to show. It is what it is.
Let me help you out there, Will. First of all, it's embarrassing, but we've all been there. If you really had to take a number two, right? We've all had to, flush twice. There's no embarrassment in that, especially at home. It's better. Yeah. It's better to flush 2 or 3 times. Take care of the initial mess, and then flush it down, and then if you got a little more to clean up, then you clean it up again and flush it one more time. Don't just keep flushing. Whenever a toilet, and even on one flush, I have 2 daughters and a wife at home. I don't know why, but they go through like half a roll every time they use the toilet paper. This is an issue at my house. So here's the pro tip. If you see it starting to go up above the normal level, reach down and turn the valve off to the toilet. Don't just keep trying to flush it. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So that little valve that stubs up out of the floor on the left-hand side, you reach down and you turn it to the right until you can't turn it anymore. Now, if you have just a open gate valve thing, the valves, they're open when they're in line with the pipe. If you got one that just goes, got the little handle, if it's perpendicular to the pipe, you still turn it to the right, and you just make you just close the gate inside there, and the valve is sitting there perpendicular to the pipe, not parallel with it. So either way, just shut it off. 9 out of 10 times, your toilet will actually, though the weight of the water, since water weighs 8.48 per gallon, will force the clog down, and it'll just all of a sudden like fill it, just like sink and flush itself, and then it's time to turn the valve back on, lefty loosey. That means you want to loose the water into the pipe, right? Lefty loosey. Open it back up, let it fill, then flush it one more time and see if it goes down on its own. If it's still wanting to come up out of the bowl, you turn it to the right, it'll shut the water off. You don't have to worry about a toilet overflow. If it happens a second time, then you need to get a plunger and plunge it out, just move it enough to let it pass through whatever the blockage is, and there you go.
They'll get your life back to normal. Lonnie with Restore It Restoration.
Okay, everybody, I believe I was to pick up talking about getting towed, but I'm going to talk about, I have this cut on my finger, and about 4 or 5 days have passed. So it's not much of a cut. It's the result of having been cut. More like getting a layer of skin sliced off, and it's in an unusual spot. It's between my pinky and my ring finger, but on my right hand, and it's It's on the pinky, but it's situated where the cut or the wound is facing the ring finger. Does that make sense? So if I had a ring on that finger, the wound would be kissing up against the ring. And it's about 3/4 of an inch long of a sliver removed from inside there. And, you know, if you think about it, who in the world gets wounded in there, right? It's not a typical spot to get sliced. But I got sliced. And it was by complete accident. You see, I delivered baked treats to the office. My wife had done a round of baking for the chocolate dozen, and as we've done in the past, is any extra we package up and then we share out to teachers, child care providers, the office, and that's what we did. We had packaged the night before in a plastic container these treats, and that was on a Friday, and I was on my commute home, got off the train, and I was to pick up the kids and my wife from her bus stop. She takes a bus from her office to a particular bus stop nearby, and she gets dropped off, and I pick her up with the kids. But, you know, on this particular day, I get to the parking lot. I've been parking in this parking lot for almost 2 years, you know, and so does, it seems like, everybody else. And everybody knows that it's private property, and it's actually a parking lot for a Toys R Us, a Burlington coat factory, and pretty much that's it. It's a big lot, and but as we know today, Toys R Us stores have been shutting down, and there's been talk about them coming back. I don't know how true that is, but they're basically not operating anymore. So there's no need for anyone to go there to park to go to a toy store, because that's not going to happen. But anyways, a lot of folks have parked there. And you know, when I started where I'm working now, where I needed to take the train into the city of San Francisco, I didn't want to park there. I'm kind of anal, you know. It clearly says private property, no parking here for the train. And, you know, the thought of getting towed, you know, scares me, because, you know, to be down a vehicle, you know, the impact it has on the family, it's just not good. So what I've done in the beginning was I would park basically in a residential area where it's safe to park. It's not private property. You can park curbside. It's not illegal. And then I would just do a walk or a hike to the station. It's about, I want to say a half mile maybe. No, I don't know. I can't. I think it's about a half a mile. Not a big deal, you know. It's not like, you know, I'm hiking, doing a 5K or a 10K or anything, you know. It's just walking across the street, walking across a big old parking lot, and walking up a street, and that's where I'm at. So not a big deal. And I parked that way for a long time, and then I mustered up the courage to actually park in a parking lot where everybody else seemed to be doing it. And I took a chance to do it because, you know, on the commute back, I found myself having to run from the train to the vehicle across the parking lot with my laptop bag on my back, and I was cutting it close to picking up kids and making appointments, and I didn't want to miss any appointments. So I figured, enough time has passed, it seems relatively safe, let's just roll with it, and let's test it out. And didn't get towed. Perfect, And then as I did it enough, my comfort level grew, and it just became routine. Park in the lot and be done with it, right? So 2 years later, here I am. I'm on a Friday night, and I get to the parking lot, and the lot is practically cleared out. And it was funny because the day before I parked in the lot, and I was fine at the end of the day, but I saw a car getting towed. And I didn't think, I was halfway concerned. I thought are they cracking down now? After all of these months, after over a year, after almost 2 years, are they cracking down? But on that particular day, there was just a lot of cars. I think, no, probably not. Maybe I'm just freaking myself out. Parked. Everything was fine. I got on that Thursday. I got into my vehicle at the end of the day, and everything was fine. So here we are on that Friday, and I get to the parking lot, and there aren't a lot of cars parked on that morning. I thought that was weird, and I started thinking again, started getting scared, not a lot of people park here, that seems odd. But I didn't follow my gut. I rationalized it as it's a Friday, not a lot of people are going into the city, they're choosing to work from home, and that's why. So I parked, and that was the mistake, right? I got caught up in not listening to my gut, and got caught up in the false comfort that everything was fine. I was just fooling myself, only to get to the parking lot at the end of the day, and the vehicles were cleared out. I looked around. I already knew. They towed us. It was either got towed or car got stolen, but being that there were a bunch of cars gone, that would have been one amazing heist. But it was a legal heist. Technically, it was a legal heist. I knew I was towed, and I was trying to figure out, okay, now who do I need to contact to find out where it's at? And I looked around. I could see other people making their way back from the train station, and they were looking for their cars too. I walked up to one of the guys. I'm like, "You get towed too?" And they're like, "I don't know." I said, "Yeah, we got towed." Now it's just time to find out who to call to find out where our vehicles were at. There was a police squad car parked oddly on the curb, on a massive curb in front of the old Toys R Us. But there wasn't an officer there. But there was another man there. I asked him if he got towed. He goes, "Yep." And I asked him if he knew who we were supposed to call. He said, "Yeah." He had gotten the tow company's number because he happened to arrive at the parking lot when a tow was happening. So he took a picture of the tow number, and then I took a picture of his phone with the tow number. And so that was on that evening, just like usual, I had to pick up 3 kids, and I had to pick up my wife. And I messaged my wife, told her that we got towed, and I need to get to the house to get to the other vehicle so that I can do all the pickups, and then we can figure out what to do from there. And it's dark and it's cold, and I thought I could run to the house, but no, that was gonna take a long time. That would have been bad. I could try to call my brother-in-law's wife or my brother-in-law who's in the next town over, but he might not be available. So I picked up my phone, got on the App Store and downloaded the Uber app. I've never done an Uber or a Lyft before, and I wasn't sure which one was better, but I just figured that it should both be as good, be the same, and I downloaded the Uber app, and it was quick and easy. I plugged in where I needed to go, saw the price, which level of transportation. There's an Uber pool and there's an Uber X. The Uber X was basically, it was a little bit, I think, higher in price, but it just meant I had a dedicated vehicle to myself. The Uber pool would be you're going to be riding with a bunch of other riders, and the price was lower, but the estimate time of arrival and drop off could be longer. So about $12 or $13 what I spent for the Uber X level of transportation, and with Apple Pay on my phone, it was super easy to download the app, figure out where I needed to go, see what the estimated time was, paid for it, and within 10 minutes, I was in a black Toyota Prius with a driver who I think his name was something like Ghoul or something. So that was my first time. It was kind of neat. But after I placed the order, the app keeps you in a view where you could actually track the progress of your ride as it makes its way to you. And my phone was at 1% power. So I put my backpack down and I cracked it right open, and I flipped the thing wide open, and because I knew I had a power brick in there, a charger, I could just hook my phone up real quick and not lose, my phone, because I needed to keep it on. And I pulled out this plastic container that I had used to transport a bunch of baked treats to the office that day, and I pulled out the power brick, got a cable, plugged my phone, everything's good, put everything back in my backpack that I pulled out, the plastic container, slung my backpack on, and I stood on the curbside looking at the phone, and my hands started to hurt, and my hands sweat every now and then, and my hand hurt, and it was kind of wet, and I looked at my hand, and lo and behold, I had blood coming out of my finger, and I just I sucked on it. I didn't have a napkin. I had nowhere to wipe, at least readily, so I just sucked on it. I drank my own blood. And while I kind of temporarily kept the wound sort of from, bleeding, it wasn't bleeding too much, but it bled enough that I needed to keep sucking on the wound to keep blood from getting all over the place. And I fished through my bag carefully this time, because at this point I realized something in the bag cut me or sliced me, and I found a small travel pack of tissue. So I was able to get one of those things and keep my wound, covered with tissue. I think the plastic container, the edge of the plastic container lid sliced my finger. Later on that evening, I inspected the container to see if my skin was somewhere on the thing, but I didn't find it. Maybe it fell on the ground, and then some little critter went and enjoyed it. You're welcome. So yeah, that's the story behind getting cut in a weird spot. So I'm in the Uber, and it takes me 12 minutes to get home. Very easy to offer a tip to the service. It wasn't awkward. It was just the guy just took me where I needed to go. Super easy. So, I walk away from this experience knowing what it's like to take one of those services, which is used widely, and I see people using these services very often in the city. I just never found a real need until this moment, and it was an emergency. Get home, fortunately, I was able to get in the house, get the keys to the other vehicle, and do the pickups. And before I hopped on that Uber and before I cut myself, I was talking to the guy that gave me the number. He said that it's going to be $500 to get your car tonight, or just to get your car, after like crap. And then so after I picked up my family, I called a number to find out where it's at. And I already had the address, but I needed to confirm that it was the same tow company that picked up my vehicle. And it was. And it was like 30-40 minutes away. It was in a different town, and it's dark. I have the family with me. And here were the rules as far as what it took to get your car out. And here's the details. The tow was $120 to was $220 to $280, just the tow, depending on whether or not they used a dolly, right? And then right off the bat, storage, you're billed a day's worth of storage right from the get-go, which is about 85, not quite 90, but something like $85, right? $88. Okay, so you don't know that. You don't know that. Well, they tell you. But then it's a Friday night, and they're not open until Monday. So now you're looking at a weekend's worth of storage. So you're looking at $88 a day. So you're going to be spending, $180 just for the storage on top of the towing already. $180, right? So that sucks. But if you need to get your vehicle out that night, you just had to pay a gate charge. Yeah, just a gate charge, basically just $115. That's pretty much it. So you're looking at the tow charge of $220 to $280, plus a day's worth already of storage of $88, then a gate fee of $115, right? But that's not all, folks, because there is a 3% charge when you go in, and you're gonna make, it's already over $400, and they charge 3% to make a payment using a credit card, because that's how I was planning to pay for it. So, easily $450 for our situation sucked. But that's not all, right? Only the registered owner of the vehicle can pick up the car. Okay, well, I'm going to have my wife and the family with me, so she'll be there. So she can present her ID, and we can fish out the registration out of the glove compartment of the vehicle, which had now been impounded, or whatever you want to call it. And then she can prove that she's a registered owner, and then I can pay for it all, and then we can figure out the rest of the evening. But guess what? That's not all. There's some rule that they were told from CHP, meaning the tow company, that if they're making a credit card payment, if someone's making a credit card payment, it had to be a credit card by the registered owner of the vehicle, because for whatever reason, and it doesn't make any sense. Are they thinking that the registered owner was going to steal a credit card, borrow a credit card, or whatever? And I don't know. You can make up a lot of reasons why they have to force that type of rule, and that didn't make me happy, and that really didn't make my wife happy, because she wasn't gonna pay. I made it clear that I was gonna pay for all of this stuff, right? And it ended up coming out of her credit card. So, sucks. I have to pay my wife back, which is fine, but it's crazy, because I've never been towed before, and this is what this experience is something that I feared. Not all the specifics, but just the inconvenience is what I feared, right? And the recovery. And in this particular situation, there was a guy, I think his name was, I don't know, Brandon or something. Not Brandon. I forget his name. What his name was. It was an older guy, and he was nice. I mean, the folks at the tow place are nice, right? Sure, they took my vehicle, but they were given orders. They're just doing their job, right? It's just the way the world works. If I had to be upset at anybody, it was being upset at myself, right? I can't sit here and justify I parked on private property and they should, and so does everybody else, and they should just leave us alone. The only complaint I have is that, we're a community, right? And nobody's there to take advantage, right? Everyone's open and honestly just trying to get through their day, get through their life, and we're all part of this bigger community. And if anybody gave two shits, right? If the property management gave any two shits, because they could be sitting there thinking like, they're offering a free service to the community because they know that train station parking sucks balls, right? So, well, there's this big old parking lot. They're not doing anything with it. They're providing a service. It's fine. But at some point in time, should they need to enforce it, sure, it's going to be effort and money to do, but why not just, post a sign or put flyers out and say, hey, you know what, we're going to be enforcing this rule of no parking, and it's going to start on this particular day. Please be informed and let others know who can benefit from this information. And then that, right? But my complaint is, you're doing it on a Friday night, and it's a massive inconvenience and cost. It's it's sneaky. It really is. If you're gonna tow somebody, you had to make it on the most difficult time of the work week, of the work day. It's I'm not saying that it was legal for everyone to be there, but if you know that people are there. If you think about, what if a household only had that one vehicle? Right? And what that impact is going to have on the family. A simple, hey, FYI, we can't continue this situation anymore. We're going to start enforcing the thing on a given date. Just wanted to let you know, because we know that it'll be hard to do the recovery and it'll be costly. That's all I'm saying, right? But I get it, right? If I was a property owner and I was being taken advantage of, and people kept on complaining to me and trying to argue or complain, and take legal action against me because of whatever, then I could just be fed up and I'm not going to be kind anymore. Maybe the property owner in the past has gone the kind route that I'm suggesting, but it just didn't work out for them, and now they're just, there's like, no more courtesy. Just make it happen. Could be. That's my only thing. So we're at the park, we're at the tow yard, and there's a guy who leads me to the vehicle, because the way it works is, we're going to walk over to the vehicle, we're going to fish out the registration, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to do all the paperwork. The walk to the lot, the gated lot, it's super dark. And the drive, if you had to drive in and out of the lot, the pavement is just chopped up. There's holes, potholes, and potholes with potholes. It's just horrible. It's an obstacle. So the guy was nice enough to say, you know what, I just wanted to let you know that our lights were stolen. It's completely dark, and when you drive out here, please be careful, because even the tow trucks have to be careful when they come into the lot because of all of these holes. There have been people who have been super upset retrieving their vehicle, and they would just bolt out of the lot and they're just damaging their vehicles, hitting all of those potholes. So I'm like, that's cool. So it's an all new experience for me. Given the situation, I'm still sort of like intrigued about the experience. So, we get the he has a flashlight, we get through the gate. I have my keys. I hit the panic button on the keys, and then our vehicle, starts honking. Like, there it is. So I walk over there, get the thing out, lock, re-secure the vehicle, and I walk out of the lot. The guy waits at the gate. He says, when you come back, do you have a flashlight on your phone? Just, I'll be here waiting for you. And then, so we did that, went through the whole garbage about the payments and who's supposed to pay what and what card to use. Got the receipt, walked back to the gate with my flashlight on my phone, and showed the guy that it was all taken care of, and got the vehicle out of the lot, carefully drove it out. And one of the saddest things to see is, as I was slowly driving my vehicle, and it was pretty dark. Luckily, I had my headlights on so other folks could see. But I could see other folks making that walk to the lot to get their cars. And it was like a woman, and there was like a family of 4 with little kids. And, it's that... There's a look in their eye like they're about to be reunited with a family member who they haven't seen in a long time. The look in the eye that people are trying to welcome back somebody who's coming back from being, abroad for having served their country. That look, in their eyes, and it sucked. And on a Friday, pitch dark, cold night, and I know what they were all going through because I had just gone through it myself, but I feel for the other families. It's like, it sucks, right? And maybe I'm like an idiot. Everybody else has gotten towed once in their life this way, right? And it's just a part of life. It's just a part of this world, and not a big deal. But I tell you what, getting towed as a family of 5, it sucks. If we didn't have the other vehicle, if we didn't have, a credit card, or money, that, would have been a bad situation. Costs would have climbed, $88, whatever it was, a day, right? Is there going to be a cap on that? What if you left your car for 10 days because you just couldn't come up with the money or the transportation to get there? Easily $1,000, right? Because guess what? That's 3% off of that card, assuming you're paying with a card, right? And when I sort of like was disgusted that they needed the credit card of if we were paying with a credit card, it had to be the credit card of the registered owner. The girl at the counter's like, well, if you want to go to a bank, I'll be here all night. It was the sentiment was fine, or the information was fine, but hearing it wasn't fine. It was just like, fuck you, you guys are doing shady shit, It's shady shit that's legal, So, that was that. Happy holidays, everybody! Woohoo! That's all I got to say about that. I just wanted to share that experience. So what does that mean? Well, what that means is I'm back to parking the vehicle the way I used to and doing the hike. And before I wrap up, I just wanted to say what I've done the past couple of days is I've taken a skateboard with me, right? And I've parked a half a mile away. I've done some walking and skating where it was safe to skate and okay to skate to get where I need to go. carry the skateboard with me on the train. I'll carry the skateboard to the office. And the skateboard is most beneficial on the way back, because if I ever feel like I'm tight on time because the train ride took too long or there was an appointment that I need to get to, then I could use the skateboard to speed things up, right? Did that on day 1. Didn't have any appointments, but I've tested it out. Day 2 was yesterday. Parked the car, took the skateboard, went halfway where I need to go to get to the train station, and something not snapped, not popped, not cracked, but something happened in my right calf. I pulled it pretty bad. Hard to walk, hard to stand, nothing to stretch out, no level of stretch, trying to like massage it to get relief. It was pretty bad. So there I was with a backpack with a laptop on it, and my running gear because I wanted to go running that day. And I had a skateboard with me, and walking was excruciating. And I just kept thinking, I got to get to the train station. And I just kept thinking, it's going to be slow for me to get to the train, but I can do it, right? It's like, this is just one of those things like a trail run where things don't go right mechanically, but you got to get out of the trail. So, you modify your gait, you wrap something with whatever you got, you find a branch and you get some sort of walking stick, you do whatever you can, right? And so did whatever I can to get to the train. And I tried to skate, thought I could, what if I just tried to skate? But the leg that I used to push off was the leg that was injured. And when I needed to catch myself because maybe I caught a crack in the sidewalk, then that meant I was jumping off the skateboard, and I was jumping off and suffering even more because I was injured. So skating wasn't a good idea. I just had to limp very slowly. It took a long time to get to the train station, but I got on the train. It sucked. And I got on the train, and there was no place to sit. So I stood. That was fine. I stood. I made my way into the city, towards the city, several stops along the way, and just wishing that as the minutes ticked off, I felt like, man, I wish I had a seat right now. I wish I had a seat right now. So by the time I got to, it was San Leandro station, which was several stations from my origin. I got out of the train, and I figured I'll catch the next one, and there'll be a seat. But I got out of the train thinking, like, this is not going to be good. I just got to catch the other train, the other direction, and head back home. And that's what I did. Caught the other train back the other direction, went back home, notified the office that, I'm hurt and that I need to work from home. And when I got to my train station, the walk back to the vehicle took 20 minutes. And so I basically doubled the time it would have taken me to just walk, an easy walk. So it was a difficult walk because it was a kind of, it's like when you're out on a trail run, when I'm out on a trail run and I'm pretty mentally drained or I'm physically drained, and I have to stop and I have to breathe and I have to think. I need to take a moment, right? I need to take a moment, maybe chew on something, take a drink, and then reset as much as I can and then keep on going. And that's what this 20-minute walk was with this injury. Carrying a skateboard and a backpack with a laptop, so dumb. It was its own little adventure. And I get to the vehicle fine, and I was able to drive home and start trying to take care of that calf. I wrapped it up. I didn't bother with the ice, just wrapped it up nice and tight, and just worked from home. So So here I am the next day, and I still feel kind of a knot where the injury is in my leg. I mean, I can feel a spot. I'm not like, I can press it. I don't feel like there's like a tennis ball in there, but I can feel the spot where it's tight. And it's similar to how I felt tightness in the past when I would maybe do hill repeats or suffer a climb on a trail event. So it's still injured, it's still sore, but I could actually move around without having to need the aid of a walking stick. I used my skateboard as sort of a cane, which was kind of weird, but so I thought that I'd bring one of my trekking poles to the office today just to help me, but I could get around without it. When I took my daughter to school this morning, I did a little bit of an easy jog as she ran towards the school. And so I know that I'm physically okay to do an easy jog. And I brought my gear today, and it may not be the smartest decision, but I think sometimes the stupidest decisions are the funnest decisions, and I'm going to go have some fun today. And that's that. So as I wrap, on behalf of myself, thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast. If you like what you hear, awesome. You know what? Just keep listening. Appreciate it. And I'll catch you on the next episode. And for now, eat something delicious. Hug your friends. Hug your family. Make stupid decisions once in a while. Have fun. And go run. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.
Well, Blanche, this holiday shindig of yours is simply the bee's knees.
Why, thank you, Doris. That's swell of you to say.
I don't know how you do it. Every year we do this at your house. No one takes their shoes off. You've got kids running amok, dogs and cats all over the place, people milling about with hors d'oeuvres. Yet every year your carpet is just flawless. What is your secret?
I've got 6 words for you, Doris. Lonnie Beecham with Restore It Restoration.
Being the coveted holiday hangout house is a prestigious position, and Doris makes it look easy. But hosting house guests and pets is anything but easy on your carpet, unless you've got a secret weapon. Lonnie at Restore It Restoration heats the water to the proper temperature for your type of carpet, not only making it look pretty, but thoroughly disinfecting it. When you're ready to be the host or hostess with the mostest, call Lonnie with Restore It Restoration.
They'll get your life back to normal. Lonnie with Restore It Restoration.